In 1962, a man from Scranton, Pennsylvania, opened a tiny drugstore that grew into the third largest pharmacy chain in America. His son took it over, and 4 years later, the entire company was a smoking crater, a $1.6 billion fraud, a stock that went from three figures to 13 cents, and a 60-year legacy gone. Alexander Grass was born August 3rd, 1927, in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Not into wealth, not into comfort. His parents, Louis and Rose Grass, were Jewish immigrants trying to make a life in a coal mining city where the American dream was something you dug out of the ground or chased somewhere else. Louis was a businessman. Alex later described him as relatively successful. But that success didn't last. When Alex was just 9 years old, in 1936, in the middle of the Great Depression, his father died. 9 years old, his father gone, and the family with little income. And Scranton, like the rest of the country, was barely holding itself together. Rosegrass did what mothers did. She packed up and moved the family to Miami Beach, Florida, looking for something better. And Alex? Well, Alex worked. Small jobs, whatever he could find. He held them all. Years later, he'd tell the Philadelphia Inquirer, "It's probably the reason I worked so hard and wanted to achieve so much, because I started with so little." And he told the Patriot News of Harrisburg, "I learned early on how important it was to be economically sound and to be in a position where I could be independent." That right there, that's the engine. That 9-year-old boy who lost his father and grew up with nothing, that's the kid who built Rite Aid. Not ambition for ambition's sake. Survival instinct, refined into something extraordinary. Alex used the GI Bill to attend the University of Florida Law School. He graduated in 1949 with a law degree. He met a woman named Lois Lehrman while he was in Florida. They married 6 months later. Lois's father, Benjamin Lehrman, owned a wholesale grocery distribution company in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, called Lehrman and Sons. So Alex moved back to Pennsylvania, started as a tax attorney for the IRS and the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue, and then, in 1951, he joined his father-in-law's company. He worked there for a decade, and in 1958, he created a program called Rack Right Distributors, putting racks of non-grocery items inside grocery stores. Simple idea, but it taught him something. People wanted affordable products in convenient places, and nobody was doing that well for health and beauty items. In the early 1960s, citing the Robinson-Patman Act, the court ruled that manufacturers could no longer dictate minimum prices at retailers. Translation: discount stores could actually discount, and Alex Grass saw the doors swing wide open. He went back to where it all started, Scranton. In 1962, Alex opened his first store in downtown Scranton. He called it Thrift D Discount Center. Yes, you heard that right. And that's not a typo. Thrift D. No T at the end of thrift. That was the name. A 17-foot wide storefront on a Scranton street corner selling health and beauty products at competitive prices. The first store tripled its projected first-year sales in 1 year. Alex didn't celebrate. He expanded to Wilkes-Barre, Hazleton, Lancaster, a second Scranton location. He acquired smaller regional chains, and he built a real business, one store at a time. By 1968, just 6 years after opening a 17-foot storefront, the company had more than 50 stores. That year, they changed the name to Rite Aid, and they went public on the New York Stock Exchange at $25 a share. The initial public offering earned the Grass family $8.75 million. In 1969, They bought the Daw Drug Company of Rochester, New York. That acquisition doubled the company's size and critically gave Rite Aid a pharmacy business for the first time. They weren't just selling shampoo and aspirin anymore. They were filling prescriptions. By 1972, Rite Aid had 267 stores across 10 states. By 1981, it was the third largest retail drugstore chain in America. By 1983, Rite Aid had become the first drugstore chain in history to hit $1 billion in annual sales. $1 billion! All started from a 17-foot storefront in Scranton. By 1987, they had over 2,000 stores. And the man who built it all? He did it with discipline. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, just execution. Steady, methodical growth over 3 decades. He preferred renting space in strip malls. Lean, efficient, low overhead. He ran the company the way he ran his life. Carefully, deliberately, the way a man who lost his father at 9 and started with nothing would run things. In 1995, Alex Grass stepped down as chairman and CEO. That year, Rite Aid operated nearly 3,000 stores, all east of the Mississippi. It was the largest drugstore chain by store count and number 2 in revenue. As he handed the reins to his son Martin, Alex told the Harrisburg Patriot News, "I didn't think this business would be anywhere near this successful, but apparently our method of operation was superior to a lot of other competition." Alex had no idea what was coming. Martin Grass took over as CEO in 1995, and Martin was not his father. Where Alex preferred modest strip mall locations, Martin preferred large, freestanding Rite Aid centers, flagship-style buildings that cost more to build and operate. Where Alex drove to work, Martin took a private helicopter from his estate in northern Maryland to company headquarters in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. A private helicopter to run a pharmacy chain. And where Alex grew carefully, Martin grew recklessly. He launched an aggressive acquisition spree, fueled by massive debt. In 1996, his first full year, he acquired Thrifty Payless Holdings, Harco Incorporated, and K&B Incorporated. Over 1,000 new stores added in a single year. $900 million in assumed debt. He was buying chain after chain, trying to grow faster than the business could handle. New stores underperformed. Debt piled up. Profits fell short of what he had promised Wall Street. And then Martin Grass made a decision that ended everything. Instead of telling the truth about the numbers, instead of admitting the acquisitions weren't performing, that the debt was crushing them, that the growth was an illusion, Martin and his executives started cooking the books. They inflated Rite Aid's earnings by $1.6 billion. Fake financial statements, false SEC filings, backdated documents. They built a lie and dressed it up in quarterly reports and investor calls, and Wall Street bought it. The stock price soared on a lie. Then the lie collapsed. In 1999, investigators uncovered the fraud. The stock crashed to under $5 a share. More than $15 billion in shareholder value evaporated. Poof! Martin Grass was forced out as CEO. 6 former executives were convicted, and Martin Grass was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Standing before the judge, Martin Grass said, "I tried to do too much, too fast." He also told the court those things were wrong. Those things were illegal. But then he added, "I did not do them to line my own pockets." Maybe that's true. Maybe he wasn't stealing for personal enrichment. But the result was the same either way. A company that took his father 33 years to build, 33 years of discipline, of patience, of starting with nothing and creating something extraordinary, was nearly destroyed in 4. And here's the thing, Rite Aid never recovered. The damage Martin did wasn't just about the fraud or the prison sentence. The structural damage inflicted during those 4 chaotic years was permanent. For the next 2 decades, Rite Aid became a corporate zombie. The multi-billion-dollar debt from those 1990s acquisitions haunted the company for the rest of its life. 2 decades of new management, new strategies, new owners, all failed. Then came the opioid lawsuits, more than 1,600 of them. In 2023, Rite Aid filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Hundreds of stores closed. The stock hit an all-time low, 13 cents a share. 13 cents! From $25 when the stock was first offered to 13 cents. They emerged from bankruptcy in 2024, tried to restructure, but it didn't work. In 2025, Rite Aid filed for bankruptcy again. This time, they liquidated everything. All remaining stores closed. A 60-year-old company gone. And here's the fact that puts the entire story in perspective. CVS was founded in 1963, 1 year after Alex Grass opened Thrifty Discount Center in Scranton. Same industry, same era, and the same starting line. CVS stayed disciplined. They grew strategically instead of recklessly. They invested in pharmacy services, health clinics, benefits management. They built systems instead of chasing shortcuts. Today, CVS operates over 9,000 locations. They generate over $372 billion in annual revenue. They are the largest pharmacy chain in the United States. Rite Aid is gone. CVS is everywhere. Same starting point. Opposite outcomes. Now, there's one more detail to this story I can't stop thinking about. When Martin Grass took over Rite Aid, one of the first things he did was order almost all traces of his father removed from the walls and offices at Rite Aid's headquarters. The man who built the company erased from the building he built. And when Martin was ousted in 1999, the heliport he used to commute by helicopter dismantled immediately, his memorabilia removed. Poetic justice, some said. But here's what Martin couldn't erase. Alex Grass, that 9-year-old boy from Scranton who lost his father in the Great Depression and started with nothing. He went on to donate $1.5 million to establish the Alex Grass School of Business Leadership at Harrisburg Area Community College. He gave $1.5 million to the University of Florida for a chair in Jewish studies and a new law school building. A $14.5 million medical building at Pinnacle Health's Harrisburg Hospital bears his name. He chaired the Board of Governors at Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Nathan Sharansky, the famous Soviet dissident, called him a leader of immense proportions and a great philanthropist. Alex Grass died on August 27, 2009, at his home in Harrisburg. He was 82 years old. He had been fighting lung cancer for 10 years. Grass was buried at Mount Moriah Cemetery in Lower Paxton Township, Pennsylvania. His daughter Elizabeth and son Roger carry on his philanthropic legacy, and in 2021, they developed the Alex Grass Campus for Jewish Life in Harrisburg. Back in Scranton, at the corner of North Washington Avenue and Biden Street at Courthouse Square, just blocks from where that first 17-foot wide Thrifty Discount Center stood, there's a Rite Aid office building with a plaque on the side. It commemorates Alex Grass and the company he founded in Scranton. The building is still there. The company isn't. Alex Grass proved you can build something extraordinary with patience and discipline. Starting from nothing in a small Pennsylvania city, most people couldn't find on a map. Martin Grass proved you can destroy it all. Every store, every dollar, every decade of work by choosing lies over truth. And that, as always, is another road that leads to Scranton. If you've enjoyed this story, be sure to check out our playlist, Scranton Titans of Industry and Innovation. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because every week we dig up another untold chapter from Scranton's history that rippled out and changed the world. From factory floors to Hollywood fame, from the White House to the office, this is where local meets global. I'm Miss Scranton, and I'll see you in the next video.